Good morning and welcome to Viscount Leisure. My name's Chris and I'll be doing a virtual tour around this caravan for you today, setting off around the outside, moving through onto the inside, showing you how everything works and it working, and some hints and tips along the way as well. We'll finish up with operating the motor mover on this caravan and demonstrating that. So with no further ado, we're going to set off by the entrance door, the way into your caravan, commonly known in the industry as the habitation door, leading into the habitation area, the living area of your van. We can open the door back there, clicks back into place, shuts off into place like so. Built into the door frame is a door fly screen to keep those midges out in those summer days. Waste bin in the door, and I can lock my door from inside in that position there and unlock it from that position. There's a fixed pane polyplastic window with a blackout blind to keep the light out at night when I want to go to sleep. Pull the handle, close the door, and I can operate it with one of two keys. There to lock it, to the rear there to unlock it, and there's another key, and one key fits everything that will go around on this van. So we'll leave that open for now while we carry on around our caravan. We come along past our wheel motor mover, and then we come to our external 240 volt socket here. So we've got an external square pin socket which is very domesticated, looks like what you have at home. That's because all you can plug into it is domestic appliances. 3-pin square pin socket there. That socket will only be live when you are plugged into mains electric on a site with electric. Therefore you can then run an extender board out here, have a table lamp, radio, etc. in your awning. But please be aware with that if you have something laid on the ground, even in weather like this, the dampness and moistures can get into the electric, trip the electrics and cause you all sorts of problems. So always make sure when you're finished with it, you take it away and take it out in the evening. To open that, it's a firm press in the middle. It says there, press to open, pull the flap. Okay, so that's to access your external 240, which will only work plugged into mains electric. The next thing we come across now is our locker, our external locker, which will open and then give me access under the front bench seat here. And from here I can see I've got an alarm control box, which we're just going to set the alarm now. There we are, that's our alarm armed on our van. All right, and in the front there we have a set of fuses. Now those fuses are the interface fuses between our towing electrics. So it's what's the fuses from the tow vehicle to the lighting range that's on the back and the fuse panel there. And you can see you've got storage through the other side there. Okay, and storage there that we'll see from inside when we get inside the van. And again, key will close and lock that locker. Next thing we come across is an external barbecue point. So if you choose to buy a barbecue, you get a length of gas hose with it, or need to purchase it with it. You put your gas hose onto your bayonet connection there, which comes like so, and then that stays connected to your barbecue. You plug it in when you want to use it, open the valve on there, and that will take gas direct from your gas bottle on board the van out to your appliance that you connect onto there. Okay, so that's your external gas barbecue point. I'm going to leave that on the step because when we go and get inside there very shortly, then we'll see inside there is a red handbook pack, and that's got all the relevant handbooks to this van in that pack, and we'll make sure that that bayonet connection there goes in there with it. So coming round the front, there's two things we've got four of. One of these is our grab handles. Okay, so one on each corner, and that's so you can have 4 adults that can pull, push, tug this van around, all right, and maneuver it into position. However, having the motor mover on there, that will minimize what you want to do with that. But if you want to try and pull it up to your tow vehicle, you can use those grab handles there. The other thing we've got for us is our 4 corner steadies, a corner steady on each corner. Now they're designed only to stabilise the van once we've already sighted it and got it level. And we sight the van by reversing it up onto the pitch that we've been allocated to, disconnect our tow vehicle from the caravan and park our car to the left hand side. Prior to disconnecting that, we want to get it level from left to right, so we drive up or reverse up onto a levelling wedge, and that will get us level left to right. Once we're disconnected from our tow vehicle, we can raise or lower the front of the van, and that will level it from front to back. Once it's level front to back, left to right, then I can go around and put my corner steadies down with the corner steady winding handle supplied here. Okay, and that goes onto there, and then I can wind the legs up and down like so, and that comes supplied with the van. Okay, so that's your corner steady handle there. And we'll put that in the front locker very shortly, and there's one of those on each corner. So prior to allowing anybody into the van, first you need to make sure they're down, because you do run the risk of tipping the van if somebody was to jump in without the legs down. The reason we go through levelling it and getting it true left, right, front and back is mainly the fridge. The fridge operates by heating a liquid which changes to a gas, and that wants to be level to give you maximum efficiency of the fridge. Secondly, it is the drainage from the wash hand basin, kitchen sink and shower. That all drains that much easier when you're level also. And thirdly, obviously your own comfort when you're inside there. Next we come to our gas locker, LPG on there, and there I've got my test bottle of gas on the van. So a couple of things in here. The bottle sits in, it's got facilities for 2 bottles, so I can have 2, which is ideal. So should I run out of one while I'm on site, I can then swap over to another one and at my leisure exchange that one for a full bottle. So what happens then? The gas bottle comes through an isolating valve which closes in a clockwise direction, opens in an anti-clockwise direction, down through the pipe through a regulator. The regulator there, okay, reduces bottle pressure to van working pressure, and it goes off into the van through a series of isolating valves inside the van to isolate each appliance independently. So should you have a problem, you can independently isolate each item of equipment. Some do's and don'ts, hints and tips. One is always make sure your bottle is strapped in prior to travelling, alright, or when you exchange your bottle. 2, and it's a very must, always make sure you turn your gas off before you travel off for safety reasons, realistically. Another little tip is, once you open your gas up for the first time, always go into your kitchen, lift your lid on your oven and light your hobs, because that'll purge the system through and make sure there's no air in there, and it's the only visual area you've got that your gas is in the van and it's working and it's lighting. And that gives you a much better chance when you come to operate your fridge on gas or your boiler on gas that it's going to light first time every time, and you're not going to have to go through the sequence more than once. So there's some tips on that. Also, you need a spanner to remove the hose off of here, and some of these hoses may well come with a hand wheel effect that tighten into there. This one's got a spanner connection on it, so it is a turn to it's a back to front thread, so you turn it to the right to undo it, to the left to tighten it. So just remember, 2 notches in there, back to front. Okay, so you need to take it the other way around, and that's the same on the hand wheel hose that you may well choose as well. Okay, that makes it go in, it's back to front threads. Also inside here, we're now going to put in there your corner steady winding handle, and you have got a length of grey water hose, which we'll discuss what that happens with that, and we supply you with a nice airframe cover that'll cover over all of the airframe here when you're on site or in storage. That closes down, same key fits that, but we'll take that bottle off. That's my test bottle, so you will need to purchase a bottle of gas to go with your van if you are starting from new. If you're swapping from van to van, obviously you'll take it over with you. The next thing we come across is our airframe and towing equipment and connecting to our tow vehicle. Now there's quite a lot to take on board here, but we are here on the day you come to collect, and we will do all this with you to get you familiar. Okay, we've already touched on the jockey wheel. The jockey wheel with the legs up will allow us to raise and lower that caravan, and we need to be able to do that so that we can raise it up so the tow ball of our tow vehicle goes under, then we can lower it down. We can also undo the handle and it will store up in a travelling position where we wind the jockey wheel all the way up, undo the handle, pull the shaft up and store the wheel up and underneath there. Okay, and again that will be demonstrated on the day. We have over this side our handbrake, and connected to our handbrake is what's known as a breakaway cable, the red cable there. Now my van won't move because I've got my steadies down, but the idea of the breakaway cable is you attach it to an eye in the car if you've got one, or you take it round the tow ball and click it back on itself like that. And the whole idea of that is, should your caravan become detached from your tow vehicle, it'll snatch at the handbrake, pulling it on, thus stopping your caravan in a nice straight line control, in a controlled manner, until you realise it's missing and you go back to collect it. And finally, on that part of the hitch frame, we've got our 13-pin electric socket. So if you're having your electrics fitted, you need a 13-pin electric socket, and that socket there connects in, twist into your car, and its primary source is to do and mimic the lights of your tow vehicle. So it will do your indicators, reversing lights, side lights, fog lights and brake lights, etc. It's also got a couple of other purposes. It also connects the tow vehicle up to our ATC, automatic traction control, on our caravan, which works in conjunction with the car. So you brake on the car and it will stabilise the van and assist the braking system on the van to the car. Its other option is everything in your van operates off a 12-volt battery. Okay, so all your lights, water pumps, igniters, etc., radio, 12-volt sockets, all come off a leisure battery. When you're travelling from A to B, C to D, etc., this caravan, this connected to your tow vehicle, will charge your leisure battery while you are travelling with your engine running. And its third thing is it will operate your fridge by using your tow vehicle engine running to operate an electric element, as we'll discuss in more depth when we get to the fridge area. Okay, so you can operate your fridge, you can charge your leisure battery, all happens automatically, and the traction control. The last two bits is this one comes with a hitch lock. So the hitch lock is here, and we're going to remove this now. Okay, and simply two keys, one of them fits in like so, removes, slide back and up and off, and that will sit there. Lift the handle and remove the added security ball, which comes like so. So that's removed that hitch lock off of there, so I can reverse my tow vehicle up underneath here. I line it up like so, and then I lower it down on the jockey wheel. As I lower it down, that handle will click shut and lock onto the tow ball. I then wind the handle back up and watch the back of my tow vehicle raise. Once I'm happy that the tow vehicle is fully raised, I can lower it down, store that away, because I know that I'm fully on, fully connected. Once I've done that, I then push down on the Alco stabilizing head unit like so, which is a firm push down, and what that's doing is locking 4 thrust pads, one forwards, one back, one left, one right, onto the tow ball of our tow vehicle, and that minimises the snaking, the movement, i.e. the pitch and roll, the up and down and the left to right movement of our caravan when we're towing, to give us the best towing experience we can. Okay, so once you're there and we want to disconnect, everything is roles reversed. Take up on there like so, lift that handle up as you raise the jockey wheel to come off your tow vehicle. Tow vehicle now becomes free. Detach all your other cables and away you go. That hitch lock comes with this van, so that's something you won't need to purchase on there. I'm going to leave that off for the moment. Okay, but to put it back on, it's exactly the same. Push up like so, drop on, slide forwards, key in, lock it, and then you're all locked on there. Coming up and round to the near side now, we come to our boiler flue, Audi. It's an Audi heating system, so this is a wet system, what's known as a wet system, very much like your central heating system at home, where the water is heated in the boiler, pumped around a closed system and back to the boiler to reheat it, to put it round, and radiates the heat up behind the seats through the pipes, etc, etc. A real good system on this caravan. That part there is the flue from the boiler like you have at home, so should you be operating it on gas, it's got an area to flue the unburnt gases out through the side there. Corner steadier we've already discussed. We next come across to our water barrel. Now this is an aqua roll. If you're new to this, you're going to need to purchase this, an aqua roll. Okay. It's a 40 litre barrel that when you get on site, you go away, you go and fill up with water, you come back, put your barrel here, drop in your pump pickup there like so into the barrel and plug it into the side of the van. We've then got an internal pump, so when I operate the taps, pressure drops, pump starts, takes the water from the barrel and puts it through the system, as we will see when we get inside. After that, we come to our leisure battery that we've just briefly touched on. That's my leisure battery there. That battery will supply all my lighting. As you can see, I've got lights on. It's coming through off that leisure battery. Okay, the motor mover would work off the leisure battery. Your igniters, your 12-volt sockets, everything works off there. Charged, as we said, off our tow vehicle with the tow vehicle running, or alternatively it will charge whilst I'm plugged into mains electric, and it operates a 240 volt charger inside the van to keep my leisure battery topped up. Also with this van, just standing back and looking up on the roof, it's got a solar panel on there as well, so from the weather even today, without that full sun, it will still charge that. So if I'm in storage not plugged in, it'll maintain a level of charge in that leisure battery for us. Couple of hints and tips: always make sure it's secured in with the straps there like so. Okay, so it gets locked in like that so it doesn't slide about. Okay, the leisure battery will stay with this van because it's got a solar panel on, so when we've got it on the forecourt, that solar panel needs something to work against. The battery stays with the van, but there is no guarantees given with it. It could last you 2 trips, it could last you 15 trips, it could last you 3 years of trips. Okay, they're tested, they're good, and invariably they're fine and will get you by getting you started. Okay, so just bear that in mind. No warranty given with the leisure battery. Just sat beside there is our mains electric inlet point, so that's where we plug in. So if we're on a site with electric, we carry it with us. Something else you need to purchase, a mains lead. Okay, and that mains lead plugs into your van, and then you go off and plug into your point of electric. Once you've finished, you disconnect from your point of electric and then come back and disconnect from your van. The reason we do this is because then you're always dealing with dead power. Okay, you're never dealing with live power on your cable because it's only live once it's plugged in the other end. Therefore, you are reducing the risk of harm, injury or electric shock to yourself. Okay, the other thing is when you purchase your lead, you'll most likely find you'll purchase a 25 metre lead. We do draw quite a lot of current on these vans, therefore what we want to do is make sure that this lead is always faked out along the side of the van and never left in a tight bunch like we tend to do, is put them on a drum or coil them up and leave them like so, all nice and neat. We need to fake it out. We all have done it, I'm sure, with an extension lead mowing the lawn or something where it's overheated it because we've left a lead on a drum. Please make sure that you fake that out. Okay, and once you're on site, the cable goes down there like so, and the locker door closes up, locks away with the cable inside it. Next thing we come to here is our fridge vents. Now we've already just touched on the fridge, that it's a liquid that changes to a gas by it being heated. These fridges have got 3 independent heating elements in there. One we've touched on is from our tow vehicle with the engine running. From the engine it will operate a 12 volt element, start to warm the liquid, cool down. It's the gas that cools it, the liquid changes state to a gas. We've got plugged into 240, a 240 element, that will do the same job. And if we're in a field in the middle of nowhere with no electric, we can operate our fridge on gas also. Okay, so it's a three-way fridge, gas, 240 volt electric, or 12 volt only when I'm running with my engine on my tow vehicle switched on. The grey water hose that we had in the front locker, that you could either cut in half, put a T-piece in, goes into the two outlet points there, which is taking the grey water from my wash hand basin, kitchen sink and or shower. And then you would need alongside your Aquaroll to purchase a Wastemaster. That Wastemaster is a long oblong barrel on wheels, and I would then connect my grey hose that's supplied there into that barrel, so that collects all the water from the inside. And pretty much the rule of thumb is, once the barrel is empty, you'll need to empty your Wastemaster at the same time, so you can do all your ablutions all at once. The next thing we come across, and this makes people worry, is the toilet on board the van. The toilet on board your caravan is no different to the toilet at home. Instead of it going down a 6-inch soil pipe into a sewer, it's going through a 3-inch gate valve into a holding tank. The flush system is also quite similar, except you manually need to flush the tank, unlike the tank at home that refills and you push the trigger and it fills again. This is an 8-litre tank that we add our water to by hand, and we can put a nice pink additive into there also. The pink additive mixes with the water and gives us a nice fragrant smell when we flush the toilet. Also sat in there is an internal pump, so when we push the button on the toilet, the pump in there pumps the water to flush the toilet. That it gets quite nicely lubricated by adding the pink fluid there, and it also mixes in to the toilet cassette down the bottom with the blue chemical that we put in there, and breaks down the contents that much better. To remove the toilet when I'm finished, I need to empty it, lift up the orange handle and extract the toilet from the van like so. If it doesn't come out with the ease I've just demonstrated, it's because someone's been to the toilet, there's a lever on the inside, and left that gate valve open. Okay, so don't try and force it, pull it, tug it or heave it, just go round into the van to the toilet, get your hand on the slide at the side and close that valve, and then the toilet will come out with the ease that I've just demonstrated. Once it's out, I can either wheel it away, or I can carry it off to what is known as an Elson point. That Elson point is a waste disposal point for all your toilets. When you get there, give it a good shake, remove the cap after turning the spout, putting it somewhere well away from where you're about to empty your toilet. Once you've done that, press in the little orange button on the side, which allows air in as you pour the contents out. All Elson points have got a tap, a freshwater tap beside them, which allows you the opportunity to wash it out, hose it out, clean it out and get it to the level of cleanliness that you desire it to be at. Once you've done that, you go back to your van with your cap and charge your toilet ready for use. Now, if you're to read the books, it'll tell you 75 ml of liquid blue chemical and 2 litres of water. With the way my bladder works, I add 75 ml, or actually I don't, I add a couple of glugs, because you can't really get it wrong, and no water when I'm on site in use. If I'm coming in this weekend and going out next weekend, I would actually put my blue chemical in there, flush the toilet, dilute it down a little bit, so I'm ready for going out next weekend, excuse me. And then I'm ready to go. In the winter, I would empty it out, bleach it out, clean it out, leave it empty if I'm not using the van. And also, in the winter, we need to drain the fluid out of this top tank. We all know that frost, water freezes, it expands. If it freezes and expands in the winter when the van's unmanned, we've got the risk of damaging the pump in there. And if you're actually to read through literature, it does recommend that you empty this tank each time you travel. And we do this by going up underneath the edge there, lifting up little black hose, okay, and releasing it there like so. Pinch the hose, pull the plug, and then out we can empty the water. Now, I've always drained that down into a gallon container and then put it back in the tank when I get the other end. Okay, A, I'm saving my paint chemical, and B, it just makes life sensible really. So I'll just drain that down into a gallon container and then put it back in again. Once I've finished, plug back in and back up like so. But it is of paramount importance, really, really important, that you do that prior to the winter months setting in, because if the frost gets at that, it will damage the internal pump. And so just please remember to drain that down. We will go through at the end of this inside winterizing, and that will be how your van will arrive, and it is fully drained down now. Coming through to the rear, we've got our lights, our other grab handles here, high level brake light, and coming through round back we come to our entrance door. And just before we go in there, underneath there is our spare wheel in what's known as a trombone cradle. So it fits in a cradle on the van just aft of the travelling wheels. So now we can enter into our van, and there we can see all laid out, all very lovely. And we'll do the same here, work round. There's my alarm just sounding. Middle button again, press 3 beeps and cancelled. So we now know that the alarm works very nicely. I just put my barbecue into the point into the red handbook pack that we discussed, and I'm going to drop that down into the second drawer down, which is where you'll find it when you come to collect your caravan. Second drawer up there, and that top handle comes out and formulates a nice breakfast bar area like so. Once I've finished, I can put that away, but this is a nice way to sit and have your breakfast. Coffee and biscuits 10 o'clock, cheese and wine in the evening. Nice little feature there that gives you that area. There is a freestanding table, as we'll see as we go around, that I can put in here or use outside. So we'll work our way around. Our top lockers here, so you've got locker and storage there, locker and storage there, and the same on the other side over here. Inside here we've got our CD, radio, JVC. The source button is my on and off button. There. There we are. And we can program it no different to any normal standard CD radio. Okay, the first plate will come off, and we take that off and store that also in your handbook pack. You maybe saw on the outside, I failed to point it out, but just above our battery locker is a radio aerial. So if I struggle with a reception, I can put the aerial up on the outside of the caravan. So that's my top lockers there. Pretty much the golden rule with these is lightweight stuff when you load your van up the top. So I always recommend chocolate crisps and peanuts upstairs, wines, beers and spirits down below. So that's fairly much the rule of thumb. All your windows in your caravan operate the same, so we can open like so and go to a vented position. Okay, removing and releasing the thumb screws, I can set the window, lock the thumb screws off to any position that I want it, from 90 degrees out, down and in. And every window has got a blackout blind and a fly screen, so I can vent and shade, sit and watch my telly but still get natural ventilation through here, read a book. Okay, so I can set it wherever I want it, or open them all up wide, and they all do exactly the same, with the exception of the one at the front here, which is a fixed pane window. So therefore it's only got a blackout blind, because that comes down purely to blackout to give me our best night's sleep here in there. The 240 volt sockets there, there's two 240 volt sockets there, there'll be a couple of 240 volt sockets there, and two over there. They will only work when we're plugged into mains electric. Therefore, if you think you're going to go away in a field in the middle of nowhere and want to use your hairdryer, curlers, razors, shavers, toasters, kettles, etc., they won't be live unless you've plugged in with your mains electric. Okay, so a point just to note realistically. The little switch in the middle there is my on and off. That does a little footwell switch, so that at night when I'm sleeping, I've got a little light on the floor that will direct me to the bathroom. A 12 volt socket there and an aerial point there. And that mimics exactly what I've got on this side, 12 volt, two 240s and my aerial socket, so I could have my TV sat here, or I can have my TV sat on the front, should I choose to go on holiday with a telly. Sleeping arrangements, we've already talked. There's your lounge there, all very nicely. This also doubles up as your dining room, as we just said, but also as your bedroom. And if you move the cushions off, you could have that as 2 singles if you so choose to want to do so, or it makes into one very big double by getting hold of the leaderboard there. That will pull my bed slats over into position, and I then take the back and drop the back in upside down, and I then always turn my base cushion, because you've got the buttons and the knee roll on there, upside down and over like so. The same on the one on the other side. Then all of a sudden I've got a lovely level playing field to sleep on, and large as well. So with that, with a couple of duvets, I've got a really good night's sleep. You make it up, it's exactly roles reversed. You go flip over. I'm just going to leave that up, shut my bed slats away like so, and then that means we can have a little look under the seat down here. So there you can see, we saw that's the outside locker, my alarms box there, and then I've got plenty of storage from here, access from the top or access from underneath there like so. The pipe just passing through there is off my heating system, so that's the one that we said is enclosed that goes around the van. We can drop that back in like so and put the back on over there. Drop my cushions in nicely. There we are. There we go. That is the sensor for my alarm that triggered off the alarm, and I've got eyeglasses, a shoe cupboard, but a storage cupboard under there as well. What we're now going to do is I'm just going to lift the cushions on this side so we can have a little look underneath here to see what's going on, because there's a little bit more happening under here than on the other one. Here we've got our boiler that we discussed, our Aldi boiler in the front corner there. Okay, so that's where the flue was. That's my water coming into a pump, the pump that starts to run, and then that will then push the water through. Now please note that all this is plastic pipe and plastic push fittings that joins all the pipe work together. Okay, the yellow lever there is the drain for my boiler. Now because it's a pressure system, if I open that to drain the boiler, pump cuts in, takes the water from the barrel and tries to refill the boiler. Until it repressurizes the system, it will continue to run. There we go, it's now shut down because the system's pressurized. So that's simulating open and a tap, but we'll see that when we get round to it. This here is the back side of the battery box, so that's where our leisure battery was. There's our mains coming in, and that comes through into our main unit here, commonly known as a PSU, power supply unit. That power supply unit is everything to do with electrics, so it's got my 12 volt fuses on the left hand side, all identified up down there, 1 through to 15, all exactly what they do. So if I've got a problem with the lighting or etc, water pump there, number 8, have a look at the fuse, make sure it's okay. The right hand side is everything 240 volts, and there we can see the MCBs 1, 2 and 3, sockets white, extra sockets, fridge, yeah, all comes off there with my master RCD on the left. Now one of the commonly asked questions is, I've got on site, I've got no electrics in my van, I've got no, my van's got, I haven't got any electrics. The problem is, more than likely it's your site, not your van. To check that it is the site, if you come along and you press the little yellow button top left hand side, and that does and trips, then you know you've got power coming to your van, it's then a van problem. If you press that yellow button and nothing happens, it means it's a power supply to your van problem, because you need power for you to operate that. And then you've got 3 independent isolating switches there. The spare one needs to be off. Heating and hot water, the boiler won't work on electric unless that's switched on. And my charger, that's my battery charger, which is situated inside my Sergeant unit there. Just behind this seat here is my isolating point for my motor mover, which I will need to access to show you that when we come to the end. So I'm going to leave this seat up at the moment because that's my mover control box. So when I operate that, it powers up direct from the battery to that box, which makes my mover work. But we'll go through that at the end in a little bit more detail. But prior to shutting all that down, I'm going to leave that seat open so I've got easy access to there when we come to it. On the end of the worktop here, we've got an extension leaf, comes up, lift it with your forearm and just pull the little catches down, which will allow it to go back down like so. We've got reading lights throughout, and these are all independent, 1, 2, so you can sit there and direct it to read your book, get a better light, etc, etc. Skylights coming through. I've got a skylight here, push the button, pull the handle, open it all the way back like so, and I've got a blackout blind and a fly screen on there. That'll come over, and then I've got a couple of points to stop it coming down into varying points there. So round through now to my kitchen area. So into the kitchen area we're going to come. Well, I've got my storage cupboards here, mug rack there, plate rack there, and there I've got the charge controller from my solar panel on the roof. So that controls the amount of charge going to the Leisure battery. So the reality of it is that will stop that solar overcharging your Leisure battery. So that's nothing to do with it, just keep the solar panel clean now and again, but it does its own thing. I have my microwave here, start, minute increments, okay, all there, normal microwave, stop, cancel, open, turntable and plate are in there. You just will find that turntable in the handbook pack when you collect your caravan. So coming through now, we've come to our cooking area. In our kitchen, we've got our electric hob there. Again, these will only work when I'm plugged into mains electric, okay? This is designed to work on electric or in a field in the middle of nowhere on gas on your Leisure battery, okay? Which it will do very successfully with the assistance of solar. With that switched on, you can see that steaming and drying out. I don't want to get it too hot, so I'm now going to switch that off. It's just to show you that that is working. There we go, like so. And then we can go around and light 1, 2, so it's a turn, gas, ignite, hold, release. 1, 2 and 3 all go down to a simmering without going out, back to maximum and back round into the off position. The grill does exactly the same. Then there you have your grill pan handle and trivet in there. Press, hold, gas it, light it, ignite it and release it, and it stays lit, and then I can minimum, maximum to where I want it to be. And the oven, exactly the same procedure. Round, gas it, press it, light it, ignite it, hold it, release it, set the temperature where you want and round into the off position. Underneath the cooker is a small pan cupboard area. The socket there does the hot plate on the back, so should that not work, that's where you need to be checking for that. Into the cupboard down the side, 3 gas isolating valves there, colour coordinated onto there. That'll be cooker, fridge and heater, all isolated from there, along with our slidey tray that comes out, and I've got a chopping board and a draining board that fits up on the top. We said about our fridge, okay, and the operation of our fridge. It looks very domesticated. It is. Got your fridge shells, salad crisper, ice cube makers and a freezer box in there. And you can see from that we've been making ice on there, and that's my freezer all nicely working. It has got a vented position so I can close the door when I come into storage, okay, onto that position, and that reduces any bacterial mildew growth in my fridge for long-term storage. It'll allow it to stay vented. Now here we come to the operation of the fridge as we discussed earlier. There you can see, if I just press it once, it'll wake it up and brighten it. I've got my electric, That one there is gas, and that's 12 volts, the battery coming from my tow vehicle with the engine running. If I'm to select that now, it's going to alarm because I haven't got a tow vehicle connected to my caravan. There we go. So I know that that's not working. Go through to gas. It'll ignite automatically, light on gas coming through. If I was to run out of gas or it didn't light, the alarm would come up on there. Or 240 volt electric, press there, comes through. If I've got an outage on electric or somebody's tripped the site, etc., it'll come through and give me an alarm. The temperature setting from my fridge is here, so I can set that from minimum through to maximum. Normally have it set halfway. Okay, and the on off button for your fridge, left hand side, press it and hold it, and that cancels and switches your fridge off, and then the light will have gone out in the fridge. Just under the edge there is a nice cutlery tray hidden away, and over on this side here I've got more storage with a drawer and a nice cupboard underneath with a shelving system and an over cupboard up there that I've got room for my wine glasses and bottles of wine, spirits, etc. Now I've demonstrated the cooker, I can now close the glass lid, which gives me a better working area, and we can then run the tap. Pump will cut in, fetch the water, cold through to the hot, very much like the old boiler systems, immersion heater systems, where that's now taking cold water, pushing it in to the bottom of the boiler and pushing hot out the top. And that is hot, that's running at 60 degrees. Okay, it's burning my fingers, but I can mix it like any normal mixer tap, so I can put my hand under but still melt the ice away without burning myself. There we go. Okay, the advantage of being level, as we said earlier, is the fridge works 100% efficiently and the water drains out very much better than if you weren't true level. Just remember that although these look very domesticated, they're really not. They're all plastic fittings and fitments, and that'll become apparent when we talk about winterization very shortly. The light switch there does my lights, my under counter and my splashback lights are done on the switch on the bulkhead just there. Coming round to the side here, I've got a couple of switches. That one does my lights, so there and there. The other one does my awning light above the door. So when I come back from the pub after having a lovely evening out, I've just got to flick those and that will put my entrance lights on into the van and get me in nice and safe and sound. Talking of lights, this one here will do my down lights across there, and the switch here does my mood lights across the top of the cupboards there and there. So that's all your lights now. Above your kitchen, you've got another fan. You've got an extractor fan here, so I can wind that up, press the button, and that will extract air, and I can increase the speed, pressing a button, up we go. Or I can reverse it to take air into the van. It will automatically stop, reverse itself and fetch air back in like so. Press the button, switches it off, blackout blind on there for the evening, and make sure we wind it down when we're not using it. Okay, through to the bathroom now. Into the bathroom we come, so lovely bathroom, centre sink unit here. Because I've had hot water through in the kitchen, the boiler supplies all the sink and the shower. Just takes that little bit longer to push it through, but there we go. All right, lovely and hot, same temperature water coming through our sink there, and exactly the same with my shower. Okay, that will operate exactly the same. Now you can see that is a pretty wonderful shower, and again, piping hot water there. All right, coming through. Yeah. The only disadvantage of having a shower with that such great pressure, as good as that is, whoever goes in it will want to stay in it like they do at home. The disadvantage of that is the next person that comes along that wants to stand in it, there'll be no water left because you've only got 40 litres. So the tip of that is get in, get wet, switch it off. Soap down, rinse off, wash your hair, switch it on, rinse off, get out, let the next person in. Surprising how many people you can get through that. Release that, that'll allow you then to close your shower door like so, back round, and you've got a bar in there that you can hang wet clothes in for drying. We talked about having our freestanding table. There's our freestanding table that we can use inside or outside. Storage cupboards underneath, and my wardrobe in the back quarter. This wardrobe houses the carpets for this caravan, so this has got carpets with it. And then we've got our TV aerial here, and we can lift that, slacken that collar off like so, and we can then raise that TV aerial to give us the best picture that we possibly can get. Once we store it for travelling, we turn it so that is facing forwards. That there I can turn, and I can alter the dish on the top from horizontal to vertical, okay, to attempt to get the best picture. I then pull that down with that facing forwards, lock it off for travelling. The aerial comes through into a booster box. From the booster box it comes out to the two aerial points we've seen, and we can switch that on and off by the switch on the top left hand corner. Hiding here behind my carpets is my header tank for my heating system. Now this is expansion tank here. It's sat down on the minimum, which is exactly where it ought to be. However, when it gets hot, it will expand, so we don't want to overfill it, okay, because with the water on, the heating on, it will expand through there. So that then is our expansion tank for our heating system, following that pipe work through, and then it comes through to a little towel radiator there, okay, on there. And the pump for this is sat in that top of that tank there. All right, that pumps the water around the van and through and round the other side. Once it's warm, it'll heat the towel rail up through there and put it through. Skylight in here. It's what I class as a tilt and turn rock and roll skylight, so no matter what direction the wind's blowing, you can still have this partially open to allow the steam out when you shower, and close it off like so, and your blackout and fly screens on there. Now, we said the toilet in here is no different to your toilet at home. Instead of it, the only difference is that you can swivel the base there. The handle we talked about is down here, and whether you choose to sit or stand, you can lift your seats up there. The handle, once you've been to the toilet, open it like so. That slides that gate open, press the button on the top of the toilet, pump runs, water comes out, flushes the toilet and takes your contents down into the tank. Once you've finished, always make sure you close that open, because it retains the smells in the toilet and not in your caravan, but also it allows a person emptying it the ease to take it out first time every time. So that's your toilet procedure there. Toilet roll holder, towel ring there like so. Coming in and then closing the door. The lights for your bathroom just sat to the left hand side. That one forward does the shower, the other one does the other two lights in there like so. Coming through now, we'll just do the noisy bits, which is my smoke detector and my carbon monoxide detector. We then come through to the boiler control system for the boiler here. So this is your Audi control system, and you can see there we've got 24 degrees in the van, connected to mains electric, and the little house is telling me that's the internal temperature. I press the menu button, bottom right hand corner, and there I come up, and the top bar showing me the little house is very much like your room thermostat at home, and I can increase that all the way up to 30 degrees, down to 5. So I'm going to take that up to 28. Now what will have happened is they've got 24 degrees set there, okay, so it should there, it's just come in, pumps cut in, that's showing you that the pump's running. The boiler's now going to heat my water to 28. The pump's going to take the water from the boiler around the system and start to warm up the van. The next one down with a little shower on it is my water temperature and heating. Now I'm sat with a little black bar in the middle there, which is running the water temperature at 60 degrees. If I press that again and fill that up, all right, to the full black bar on there, now I go back to the front screen, you'll find the pump stopped. That's because by going up to that position there, I have overridden the heating and concentrating to heat my hot water. Come back down again, so I'm doing heating and hot water now. It's started again. So that's what is classed as boost, okay? And then normal there, heating and hot water. I'm back there. So that's where we are, okay? And up to there is my boost. Overrides my heating hot water. Cleverly, once it is up to temperature, then it will allow the heating to come back on again. The little lightning strike there is my 240 volt electric, and I can select 3 kilowatts, 2 kilowatts, 1 kilowatt, or switched off, okay, on that one there. And my gas is bottom left hand corner, press on, gas off, green light on, okay, and then that will allow my boiler to kick in and operate on gas. And as you can see, I can use it on gas and electric at the same time. And again, it's just clicked in, I just heard it fire up. Again, on that, it will drop the gas out once everything gets up to temperature and just concentrate on electric. If I haven't got electric, I'd have that off and just run it on gas. In the summer, I would most likely, if I'm on electric, leave the gas off and just have my electric on. If I go into the settings button in the bottom right hand corner, this takes me through a series of things that, if you're not familiar with this, will complicate things. We don't have the time to go into it all, and there's nothing there that you need to know about that we haven't already discussed. Okay, so we can go through. The main one is reset. If you've got any problems on there, go to reset. It'll reset the whole system back to factory settings. Okay, so that is advanced settings for an advanced user, really. You can set screen, colors, set timers. Okay, it all gets very complicated. It all gets it's clock there, etc, etc. Okay, so time, I can just set the time by going through like so. The day we can set like that. Okay, but it gets all a little bit messy unless you have the time on site to do it, and it'll all be in the manuals on there as well. But recapping to using it, room temperature, okay, I can set, and I'll leave the room temperature preset at around 19 for this time of year, so if you do need to use it, it's already there. My water heating is off, press on to boost, 1, 2, 3 off kilowatts, and we know about my gas. And to switch the panel off, bottom left hand corner, and that's my panel now switched off. So coming through here, the only other control panel left is the one above the door, and this is very lovely, simple and straightforward. View levels, press that, it wakes the panel up, it shows me I've got electric, I'm charging my caravan battery, I've got 13.5 volts in there, and my water pump is switched on. So with my water pump on like so, I've got water, pump cuts in, pump off, no water, pump on, pump off, there we are. Power off, switches everything off, so no lights will work. That's completely isolated everything up on there. So that completes our tour around, seeing how everything works, where it works and how it works from. Okay, I've left that seat cushion up for a couple of reasons. One is, what we're going to do now is winterize your van. Now this is of paramount importance you do it, especially in the winter months, very much like the toilet tank. We need to drain everything down. So the first thing we come along, we can do this just by pulling that down, but because I'm going to go under here, I'm going to lift that up, I'll open that lever. The pump's now not running, so it's not going to take water from the barrel, so it's draining that boiler to ground. The next thing I want to do is set my taps to the mid position, halfway between hot and cold, all three of them, and open the tap like so. The reason for that is We said earlier, water expands when it freezes. We also said earlier, if you were listening, that the pipework is plastic with push fits. If the water's got nowhere to go when it freezes, it's going to burst all those pipes and joints, okay? So by having all my taps open, any residue of water in here allows the water to come out the end of the tap, and you might come in here and find you've got an icicle from there to there. That's pretty great news, really, because you know it's done its job to the best of its ability. So, with that in mind, then that's how you will receive your van when you come to collect it. So you've been all excited, get away for your first trip. What do you need to do? Well, the first thing you need to do, okay, is go away, get your barrel, fill it up with water, stand it by your side of your van. Then you want to get your pump pickup and put it into your water barrel, plug it into the side of the van. Then you come along into your van and close the yellow lever from the vertical upright position to the parallel to the floor position, and then come along and close all my taps 1, 2 and 3. Once I've done that, I can switch my main panel on and put my water pump on. Once my panel's on, my water pump switched on, I come along to the tap, open it on the cold position, and then swivel it round through to the hot position. What's going to happen is the pump's going to kick in, it's going to draw the water from the barrel through the pump, push it into the boiler. It's then going to add water to the boiler and push air out of the top of the boiler till it comes coughing and spluttering out of this tap. 3, 4, 5 minutes later, then I should end up with a constant flow of cold water coming through the hot side of the tap. Once I've got that, I can then close the tap and go and do exactly the same to my shower and my wash hand basin. That is then your system purged and primed and ready to go. You can then come along to your boiler control panel, switch it on and put your hot water on to heat up and get that ready, so you've got nice hot water for washing up once you've had your tea. So that's purging and priming your system there. Okay, so that's the water system complete. Normally, while I'm waiting for the air to come out of there, I've gone and set my toilet tank up for use as well. Okay, so what we can do now is get ready for the road. We've finished our holidays. We need to get ready to go. You can see the water draining from my boiler coming across there. So coming round, the first thing I want to do while I remember is switch my gas bottle off before I drive off. So that's it turned off, so I'm ready to go. That bottle will be removed by putting a spanner on the hose, turning it clockwise to undo it. It's my test bottle. It will go off to another van on completion of this, so that won't be with the van. I can then come round, and I would have done this first realistically before I emptied the pipes. I would have more than likely come out and taken this out. But there you have your pickup point. Now somebody's done a really smart job, because you can see this sort of sets in a kink position. So they've put a nice plastic pipe on there, keep it straight, sits in the bottom of the bottle, which is great. So we can then lay that in your front locker there for you. So that's in there, so you know where that is. You would then empty your barrel, okay, clean it, wipe it, dry it out, and then put it in your van, in your chosen point for travelling with it. Okay, closing the lid like so. My colleague's just taken the electrics off in the workshop, so that means I can unplug that. You would coil your electrics up and store that where you choose to. Most people find it's in the front locker, okay, where the gas bottles are. But just remember, you will have a nose weight limitation on your tow vehicle, so don't always overload the front of your van. That means we can close this off now, because the isolation point for the mover is inside on this van, and using the second key there we can close that like so. Both keys are the same there, so you've got your 2 keys and your 2 lock keys and your fobs for your alarm system. Once you're doing that, you would also take away your waste barrel, wash it, clean it, take your hoses out, and then clip your drain covers back up like so. Okay, so that's all those important bits done. Now what I want to do is go around. Everybody's out of the van. I can go around and take up my corner steadies. So by using my electric drill, which is far quicker than trying to do it by hand when we're filming, okay, or at any time really, it just makes life so much more simple. Okay, and then wind saws all the way up, 1, 2, 3 and 4. There, we're now getting ready for connecting my tow vehicle to the caravan. Okay, now we're possibly not very clever at driving or reversing, so we're going to use the motor mover to maneuver our caravan up with, so, and then we can see that working. So this is an auto engage motor mover. So what we have is a handset, and this is exactly where you'll find it when you collect your caravan: handset and an isolating master key. So that isolating key goes into there like so and turns to the rear, and what that's now done is taken power direct from my Leisure battery to my motor mover control box. I can then switch my handset on, but we press the 2 green buttons there, that will switch on my handset there like so. So we get one stable green light, and we put, this is an auto engage motor mover, we press the middle button and the top right, and that starts to flash. This is when you need to be patient now, and what that's doing is it's engaging the rollers of the motor mover onto the tyres of the caravan. As you can see, it's going on there. There we are, engaging. Now don't try, it's the only time you really need to be patient. You need to be patient with this. It'll flash 5 times and then go to a steady green light. If you interrupt it, okay, this one isn't, sorry, it's not going to flash 5 times, it's gone to a steady green light. If you interrupt its sequence, you'll need to then go back to reset, and that's to switch this handset off, turn the isolating key off, and then switch the isolating key back on, and then switch your handset on and go back through that program again. So that is your motor mover engaged. You can come round and check this side is also engaged. Now what we can do is we can release our handbrake. By releasing my handbrake, my caravan's not going to move, and it's not going to move because those rollers are engaged. If I spin that handset round like so, there's the A-frame there, press forwards, and it now has turned your caravan into a remote control caravan, and I've left that little obstacle there so we can maneuver around it, swing it round to the left, go forwards. So you can see you can move this to get it connected up to your car. You can walk round it to see exactly where you're going and connect it directly on your car. If you line it up to the tow ball on your car in line with that dot, you should be able to put it on there with pinpoint accuracy. You can reverse it, so you can park it up into a chosen storage area. So even if you go tight up to your house wall on the other side, by having the isolating key inside, then you can operate it and get it down into a little tight gap, tight against the wall, spinning it round. If I operate the 2 opposed arrows, it'll spin it round on its own axis like so. Okay, I'm back. So you can see, and that's as good as your battery power and on your battery. So there you have it, and you can move it to exactly where you require it to be. Once you've finished with your motor mover and you're parked up where you want, you then need to put your handbrake on like so, and then with your handset there, press the middle button and the top left hand button, and there it now takes the mover off. Now if I didn't put my handbrake on, then that would not that would start to roll forwards because I'm on the hill. So the mover's now coming off, and again, wait till you get a steady green light on there. Once you've got a steady green light on the van, on the handset, sorry, yep, it will, there we go, it's just coming back off, it stops, steady light. I can now switch that off by pressing the left hand button there like so. So there is our mover now fully disengaged. I want to now go inside and take my isolating key off, so I need to switch this off now. So I do that by turning back in that position. There you will find your handset and your isolating key when you come to collect your caravan, and there we put the seat down drop the base back in there like so. You can put the back in, and I'll just put the cushions there all nicely in like that for you. So there we have your motor mover all demonstrated now. So that just gives me the opportunity to say thank you for watching, thank you for purchasing from us at Viscount Leisure, and goodbye. Thank you.